to see a very talkative movie where a farmer struggles to pull out cassava that wasn't even in the ground, and where the visual effects took Yoruba movie making back by 10 years. Lisabi is the movie for you. Lisabi was released on Netflix on 27th of September to great fanfare. It had been announced with a very beautiful trailer, so I was super excited for it. The movie opens up in the palace of the Alaafin of Oyo, where Odunlade is acting like himself and Ibrahim Chatta is acting like Ibrahim Chatta. This production design was beautiful and looked really regal, so big props to whoever oversaw it. As for the scene itself, it goes on for far too long. It's about the execution of a disobedient king, and the 15 minutes that this scene took just gave Chatta, who plays the soldier Shogodei, time to talk far too much. I get the feeling Ibrahim Chatta is beginning to enjoy this mad warrior witch doctor roles a bit too much, because he spends most of his time in this movie just screaming. We are then introduced to the titular character Lisabi, a farmer in Igbenyi, who seems to be having a hard time pulling out cassava that wasn't even fully in the ground, before looking at it in a suspiciously romantic way. Now, Lisabi is played by Adedimeji Lateef, who I think is attempting to break out of the goofy roles that he has been typecasting over the years. Does it work? Well, we shall see. Lisabi's friend, Shukenu, played by Mr. Macaroni, begs his involvement in speaking with Abebi, a lady he would like to marry. Lisabi makes it clear that Oshokenu is far too lazy a farmer to marry. Now, around this time, the new tax collector, now Shogode, arrives Igbenyi to collect tribute. He comes upon a beer parlor where Shokenu is drinking and harasses the owner for tribute, at which point, Shokenu challenges them. Now, based on Shogode's precedent, I expected Shokenu to be shot immediately, but he's only slapped, and the soldier says that he's only alive because they have been told not to kill anyone that day. But I guess the writer or the director forgot that they just shot a guy in the scene before this one at the village entrance. Well, Oshokenu is an important character, so he's obviously being protected by plot armor, but director Niya Komolayo should know that we don't have short-term memory loss. Later that night, they assaulted the young ladies from the village and burned down another village for some unknown reason. After someone whispered something into Shogode's ears. It's one of my problems with all these movies, where they do something and you never know why. We don't know what is whispered, and it's never brought up again. Lisabi hears of this news and is angry, but of course his anger can't warm Eba. He later speaks to the girl on behalf of his friend, that's Abebi, and it turns out that Abebi would very much prefer Elishabi as a husband. But don't worry, guys, the director did not do anything with what would have been an interesting conflict, as Elishabi just laughs it off. I was quite disappointed. The girl finally agrees to marry Shokenu. And by the way, Shokenu has only spoken of this girl in purely lustful terms, even admitting that he wants to marry just to sleep with her. And the next 7 minutes of this movie is basically just wedding dances and celebrations. We don't have time for this. The movie is filled with long, unnecessary scenes like this. Unfortunately, her entourage is killed on the way to her husband's house, and she's assaulted on the road there by Shogudei, because she's the wife of the man who challenged him a few months, ago. There's no sense of time, so I don't know what's happening. I don't know when something happens in relation to another thing. Now, Shokenu doesn't hear exactly what happened. He only heard the words Shongodei and Abebi, and immediately reaches for a knife and dashes out in anger. Though amusingly, he is knocked out by the soldiers before he could even leave his compound. He is dragged to meet Shongodei, at which point he brings out the knife from somewhere impossible. What? Don't forget he was knocked out and actually dragged here. And he begins massacring the soldiers, some of whom had guns with them. There was even one clown who went so close with the gun barrel that I wondered if he wanted to scratch Oshokenu's balls for him. What are you doing? You have a gun. Do you want to kiss him to death? Unfortunately, I don't buy that this famously lazy farmer, who has by the way expressed nothing but lust as the reason for marriage, is willing to risk his life without even knowing what happened to his wife. Oshokenu kills 10 soldiers somehow. This lazy guy. At this point, we're exactly 1 hour into this movie, and Shogudei and Oshokenu have more screen time and are far more interesting than the titular character Elishabi. Now, because many scenes are so long, I really got into the habit of looking at the time, and that's because everyone is very super talkative in this movie. They just talk and drone on. The 4 main characters are famous talkative, so In another unnecessarily drawn out scene, the Alaafin buys new guns from the Portuguese and tests it on slaves while Shogode praises him. Yes, you get it. You are evil. You and the Alaafin are the devil. You are wicked. You like blood. Come on, just get on with the bloody story. Stop talking so much. Lisabi comes up with a new farming system where where the entire group of farmers would work on each other's farm in turn, in just so that they are able to increase the harvest in time for the next tribute to their laughing. We don't really have a sense of time, so I don't know how far away that is. Is it in months? Is it in days? I have no idea. Which is something I wish that the movie made a bit more clear. I don't know how and when things are happening. So we are thrown into 3 full minutes of farming and farming related celebrations. We see that something is turning in Elishabi's head because even though he has helped other farmers farm, he has not yet requested their help. We see the beginning of a really rebellious mindset at this point as he begins to speak in parables while turning down their own request to help. Lisabi finally invites his farmer buddies to his farm one night, and that is where this movie just turns into something that I don't understand. The story just went off on a wild. Well, it's not really a tangent, but the whole style, the whole thing just changed. Like, like the story just okay. So we enter the farm and we all see that Elizabeth is all looped up in a shrine. We went from stories and float human characters to magic all of a sudden. Lisabi has until now not had any reputation for the supernatural. It's not a babalawo, and the story has not even dropped the slightest hint that there was magic or juju in it. But somehow he's now an expert. He introduces them to 4 creatures who will teach them how to fight. Like, I was so confused, like spirits already. It was like they sacked one writer and brought in another from African Magic Yoruba. That was how sharp the change was for me as I was watching. This Shabi introduces them to these 4 spirits. And by the way, we are 20 minutes to the end of the movie. Like, I'm looking at time every 5 minutes because of how talkative everyone is, and I'm wondering when the stuff will start, when the good stuff will start. This Shabi introduces them to these 4 spirits. The first one is Akelapa, who teaches them how to fight and become impenetrable and invincible. Jogbo teaches them how to change to monkeys or werewolves or something. My lord, I am so ashamed. My chest was feeling tight at this point because I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, you need to see the graphics in this scenes. Like, they just dragged back Nollywood to 1999. I was so embarrassed. Like, House of Gar used these effects sparingly, to aid the story and did it so much better. I was so impressed. Like, I now began to see why this Elishabi was probably only released on Netflix Africa. It was quite embarrassing to watch. Talabalashe is a prophetess or something who teaches them how to create fire, I think. See, guys, I'm just ashamed that I'm just talking about this. Like, rarely have I seen such mediocrity sandwiched in such ambition. I'm sure the designer had a credit at the end. I would have asked them to remove my name. You should. If you go on Netflix and watch this movie, you will see. I don't want to play clips from the movie here because they will just strike down my video, because this is my second attempt recording the video. The first one was a much longer video that was claimed by Netflix. Oh, by the way, 80% of you watching are not subscribed. So if you don't mind, take a second to subscribe, like, drop a comment and tap the bell icon so you get notified when I release new videos. This is actually how the YouTube algorithm decides that my videos are interesting enough to show other people, rack up the views and all that stuff. Now, the last spirit is who teaches the ladies how to spy and disappear and change into birds. So basically, invisible. She's also like their navigator and guide who will map out their routes or something. Everything. It was just like a montage of spirits training people. Let me just go on. I can leave my frustration for the end. Shogode is the first to be accosted. Strangely enough, not others. Your guy is the first to be accosted by Lisabi, who appears with the wind and kills off his men without too much stress. Oh, no. There's actually some stress. His juju is impervious to bullets, but not to swords, which I found a little amusing. It was like having immunity against HIV. You need to be killed by a running nose. The effects would have worked much better if it was noisy, but I liked it in general. Just that the editing wasn't well done. It just really made me think of African Magic Yoruba with the weird cuts as people are standing still. The fight choreography isn't too bad, but Shogode's defeat came far too suddenly, because one moment he was fighting strong and then the next moment he was ambling about blindly. I don't know if we were watching like an alternate scene from somewhere, but it didn't gel. Lisabi then ends Shogode in a very cringe-inducing scene. Like, I'm honestly at a loss how the director saw this and approved the movie for release. Like, was he being blackmailed or what? The next scene, which happens to be my favorite, ends the movie. It's the market scene where all these invisible girls are all over the place. Maybe they are setting up to attack the soldiers who were ransacking the market stores. And there's this girl who jumps off a stool, to launch knife in hand with a rider. at a rider upon his horse. It was very, very nicely done. But I just kept thinking, would the horse like fall or tip over in real life, like after they cut action or cut? It looked a little dangerous actually. But yeah, watch out for part two of this stuff, I guess. They say the saga continues. So yeah, let's get to the verdict. The movie was certainly ambitious. The pacing was just too weird, and the movie is far too long. We spent too much time in wedding dances and Chatta screaming and Lisabi talking and Odunlade overacting that we had too little time for the actually interesting part of the story. Like the whole rebellion part, the spirit part, took the last 14 minutes of a nearly 22-hour movie. That's crazy. Lisabi himself isn't even present for the most important scenes in the movie. So he was not there when his friend died or when his village was burned or even when his friend's wife, died because she killed herself. So it's also weird that he's the main character, but nothing happens in his presence. For the plot, that's a 2.5/5 because it started out okay, but it just devolved into unnecessary visual effects noise at the end. Those effects were so bad. Lord. The editing was just okay, but it went downhill during the last 15 minutes of the movie. So 3/5. The cinematography was alright. Nothing spectacular was achieved. So 2.5/5. The soundtrack and the sound design really helped a great deal. I really liked it. It was wonderfully done. So that's a very strong 4/5. Unfortunately, Lateef Adedimeji is overshadowed in the movie that bears his name. He's easily the fourth main character after Chatta, Shokendo, and the Alafi. It was mostly playful and lacking the physicality I think would have aided in his particular story arc. I fear he didn't come with enough charisma to kill the role. The acting was okay, but perhaps it was just a little bit miscast. He just doesn't have that face. Like in general, I'll give the movie a 2/5. Without the visual effects, it would have been a 3. But that thing just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. It was unnecessary. I don't know if. Well, that's it for my review of Lisabi. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like this review, I would recommend you watch The House of Gar for comparison. And the Fumilayo Rason they are all usually about the same pedigree of director. I'll be reviewing Farmer's Bride starring Femi Branch and Toby Bakare soon, so subscribe to catch that. Thank you.